Awesome. Welcome back, everyone, once again to our channel, Through Failure and Success, where we bring out to you great content and, we learn from our failures. And what we do in this channel is we just share a little bit in some of the success formulas that have really helped us along the way. And, that is the purpose of our channel. And if you haven't heard of the channel before, consider liking the video, consider subscribing, and share with anybody that you feel is going to get some value out of it. But today is a special day for me. It's a special video that I want to talk to you about. Today I have a good friend of mine that I wanted to introduce to you because I admire this person, the way he's running his business. He's a father, he's a husband, and every time I see him on social media with his kids and his wife, it's just an inspiration for me, something that I can learn from. And that's why I wanted to bring him on board today, because I hope that you can get some out of value from him today. But without further ado, this is my good friend Juan, man. How's it going, Juan?
Marcelino, muchas gracias. Man, thank you for your very kind words because I will definitely say that back to you, bro. It's not just because you're saying to me, but you can ask people that I've talked to. I've always said, man, this guy right here he's a go-getter. He's a guy that doesn't take no for an answer. He's constantly on the grind and he's literally living the compound effect. The little things you do every day add on and they accumulate, and then by a year it just explodes. So thank you for having me on, man. I'm really excited to just have this conversation with you.
No, thank you, Juan. And I love the fact that you said compound effect, right? It's interesting you say that, and because this over the weekend, we went to a convention with our company, and one individual got up there, and this individual is killing it, okay, in the real estate industry. By the way, we both are in the real estate industry, but we're not here to talk to you about that. But I did hear this individual talk about just compounding and being consistent, doing the little things that are going to pay the big rewards and later on, but that you got to be consistent and you got to be patient. And but I wanted to ask you, I'm glad that you touched that, because what do you think about that right now? Because obviously, we live in a culture, we live in an era right now where we want instant gratification. you
Yeah.
know we get into an industry that is hard, especially when you run a business, just like you. People think to get, oh, I'm gonna go get my license so I can go make a lot of money, and then we expect it tomorrow, and then some people says, no, I told you, what was I thinking? I should have freaking stayed with my job. But what do you think about that, and what are some of the experiences that you have encountered with just individuals getting into any industry, but just
Any industry,
getting
right,
wanting
right,
that
right.
instant gratification?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, it has to do with just the way our culture is now. We are addicted to social media. A lot of us are. Not saying you and I, but I go on Instagram as well, Facebook, TikTok, all of them. But I feel like now it's people want to show off what they have, and you got to work for it, man. And anything, whether if it's at the gym, whether if it's at work, you got to put in the time and effort. You got to fail. You really do. As long as you fail forward, that's really you're making progress. You're moving the needle forward because you got to work hard. You got to continuously have like that consistency, but also you got just consistent. You got to be consistent throughout this whole process. So I do feel that nowadays there are some people that are out there grinding day in and day out. And for you, like, again, I remember when you started, you were on the
Yeah.
phone grinding every day. And I said we were not going to talk about real estate, but here's a good example of you consistently just continuing to go forward. You just recently reached an escrow. Congratulations, by the way. But
Oh,
it was
yeah.
someone that was you talked to a year and a half, 2 years ago. Most people would have been like, all right, they told me no, I'm out. But no, you said, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to follow up. And you did your touches. And that person still remembered you. And the fact that you never gave up, now you're benefiting from it. You're helping them sell their home. They're on to their next chapter. But that right there is a good example of the compound effect, because also you have other people that you've also touched, you've helped, you stayed in touch with, and they eventually, hopefully in the near future, when the time is right for them, they're going to be like, hey, Marcelino, I'm ready to go. And boom, now you're benefiting from your hard work. So
Yeah.
I think that nowadays it's, there are some people that get it, some people that don't. But for some, like I said, for me, when it comes to real estate, and I know I kept saying we're not going to talk about it, but it's kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It's, you just got to continue being consistent and continuously following up with your clients. Eventually, some will say yes, some will say no, and if they say no, hey, doesn't mean that you can't stop following up with them, because even if they chose someone else, congratulate them. At the end of the day, I do believe in putting good out there into the universe. It will come back to you at some point or another, whether if it's through a referral. Because again, kind of like with me, I had a client where they wanted to sell, then they backed out, but then that led to a referral because they told me, say, hey, you know what, you can leave your sign out here until the contract expires, and because of that,
Yeah.
I was able to get another client from it, which led to another client. So it's like, and then right now led to another client. So you know what I'm saying? Like it's really just that
Compound.
compound. It's compounding, dude. So I do believe in that. I really do. And for those that are new into the business, man, just grind it out, bro. Grind, grind, grind. Like what's his name? The guy, the Ricky Caruth was just talking about. It's like
Ricky
if you got
Carruth.
to
Yeah.
take a step back, that's fine. Just don't step out of the business, dude. Like there's nothing wrong with taking a step back. He's an open book. He stepped out of the business for a little bit, right? When the crash happened, and he's like, you know what, I got to get back out there. And shoot, now same thing, dude. He's freaking kicking some butt now as a real estate, being one of the top realtors, motivational speakers, but also
Yeah.
leaders, thought leaders in the real estate industry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man, and I do want to touch on a lot of things that you said because, well, first of all, Ricky, we know Ricky. What I love about him is the fact that he's always being of service, right? Just leading from the front and being of contribution to others is something that I really learned early in my career, which is why for me, I'm not gonna lie, Juan. I think that I love the fact that it got harder. And the reason I say that is because the fact that it got harder, it just means that the system itself, okay, everything that we're going to go through is going to weed out everybody that was, is what I heard they call it the fake success.
Yeah,
The system is going to weed it out on its own, and you're going to get rid of that. Not that we don't want to see him succeed, but I mean, this is really where you really come from contribution, help somebody else with the intention to help him, and if you fail, it's okay, because one of the things that I learned throughout my career, and not just in the real estate industry and not just in the professional business but also in my personal life, I've made so many mistakes in my life, but what I learned from them is that when you fail, right, one thing is making a mistake and doing it over and over and over, and you're just being stubborn. You're just stubborn, and you just don't you don't want to learn. But there's a difference when you fail and then you actually learn from that mistake and you say, okay, what is it that I did wrong that I can do better next time?
yeah,
Okay.
failing
So
forward.
yes, so you fell forward, and it's also, just like you said, it's not giving up. And in this market right now, what we're going through, it's really educating the individual that you're doing business with, and it could be in any business. It's just really educating and being of service, because remember, it's and I know we hear this all the time, right, but it's true. It's really true. And if you actually stop a minute to think about it, it's really not what you say, but it's how you say it to the other person, right? Because they'll remember how you make them feel. There's a saying that goes, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, but you can also say the wrong thing to the right person. So there's a balance in between that you got to find in between, and that only happens when you make a mistake and then you say, okay, got it. So I'm not going to do that again. Let me go ahead and do it this way. And it's going to be messy. There's no perfect starting point, because that's what stops most people from taking action in doing their dreams, whatever goals that they're after. I don't know if you can agree with that.
No, I agree. I agree. No, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So you touched social media, Juan. I wanted to touch this because obviously, again, we live in a culture right now where everything is digital now. Okay, I was just talking to my client this morning, and we're having issues, right? Because they really can't use the technology. So here I am, doing everything old school, but
Yeah.
everything is digital. Everything is going in a different direction nowadays, where social media is taking over, right? Video content, uh, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So everything is social media. But but a lot of businesses also are living off of social media. A lot of them, they do business through social media. So, and I know you're pretty heavy on your social media, by the way. But what do you think, or what's a good strategy, that a good practice that you put in place, per se, somebody that is running a business that has to get into social media, in order for you not to get caught up in the, because I do that. Yeah, I get
Mindless
into TikTok.
scrolling.
I'm like, I gotta get out.
Yeah.
You start scrolling through, and next thing you know, an hour passed by. But what are some of the best practices that you put in place
Yeah.
to run your business on social media, and also staying very, very disciplined with your time?
Yeah. So for me, when I first started, I social media is something that I used to do. I will say this though, for those that are thinking about it, or like, how do I do it? Don't from just a personal experience. I used to worry about what like my colleagues would say, right? Like, how would they perceive me? They would obviously love to put me in the chat and like, oh, look at this guy, and put look at this guy was like it's a kind way. We're keeping this PG, right? So it was almost to the point where it's like, oh man, maybe I do look like a knucklehead out here, but the reality is that, hey, that's just who I am. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't need to put a fake show for people. It's like I truly am like a joyful, energetic person. I mean good by all means. And I always tell people, like, what worked for me. I would scroll like the explore page. Like I would do that scrolling for an hour, but at the same time, my subconscious was picking up things that other realtors were doing. Like, oh, maybe that's a good idea there. Oh, this person. Oh, wow, they got like 10,000 likes. Holy smokes! Like, what are they doing? So I was picking things up, and I was like, okay, how can I implement that into my business? And when I first started like doing my videos, oh my gosh, I hated them because I overthought it. Again, I was too worried about, like, okay, am I screwing up? Are people gonna like it? I was like worried about what the other person thought. Now I don't even care, dude. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there. I will read it, or I will watch it, I should say, and then I'm like, okay, I got the point across. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna put in the machine. Maybe I get some
Yeah.
people that are like, hey, this is good information. Thank you. And if I didn't, oh well, on to the next one. Again, it's going back to the compound effect, because if you're consistent enough, you get better at it. And I've noticed that even with, because I still edit my videos, I'm like, oh shoot, I'm getting a little bit better with my editing, like better, like, I posted, and the reason I say that is because I posted it on other people's pages, like that I've like other social media pages. I'm like, hey, you know what? It's like, if it's like a regional part of the Inland Empire, I'll ask them, hey, do you mind if I post my video? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then people always comment. I'm like, hey, that's a great video. Hey, cool song. What song is that? So it's just really, again, just being consistent. You gradually get better, and eventually, you just get comfortable, and it becomes second nature. To be honest with you, and I'm not saying that I'm like a pro or anything. I'm not going to be on $1 million listing anytime soon. But the thing is just getting in front of the camera, getting comfortable of being uncomfortable, and not allowing, not worrying about what other people think, because you're always gonna have haters, even when you're at the top, dude. Again, I was listening to an interview from Ryan Serhant when he left $1 million listing. He was like, dude, like, you try walking around for 10 years and having cameras following you, and then you got people critiquing you, saying, oh, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said this. Like, dude, it's like, I'm human, like, what do you expect? I'm not perfect either. And my cameras are following me nonstop. So, people are always going to be throwing rocks at you no matter what. And it just comes with the platform. But, I've learned to block that noise out, at least most of that noise out, and just concentrate on what the purpose of me being on social media is, which is providing content for my clients or for my potential clients, or just really creating a resume online, so that way people can see what I'm about, and also just sharing what I know, my knowledge, with them for free. Because again, at the end of the day, I do believe that the more information I share, and there's going to be somebody out there like, hey, you know what? Thank you. You changed my life. Or, hey, you know what? I didn't know about that. I'm going to share. And even if they don't use me, right, they can go and ask their realtor, or lenders like, hey, you know what, did you know about this, because I saw this on a page from a realtor. Oh, it's a good idea, we should do that. So there's, as long as people are benefiting from it, I don't expect anything in return. If it comes, great, but I don't expect it. So
Mm. I like that. Juan, I think that's why, you and I, when we first met, that's why we hit it off really well because what you just said right now is, hey, if in my video or whatever I do, you find some value in it, but you and I don't end up doing business, no problem. It's okay. As long as you got the value, I know that I was able to provide value. You don't have to tell me, I don't have to brag about it, but I'm living into my purpose, and my purpose is pulling me even deeper,
right.
right? To go out there and help out more people. And I also like the fact that you say, we're too focused at times. Again, I say this over and over. We focus on the wrong things, and then we make it so hard. We make it like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do that? And next thing you know, we just don't take action. Why? Because we're saying, yeah, I'm not gonna do it,
Yeah.
because it's just draining, right? It
Yeah.
just overwhelms you. It drains a lot of energy. So not worrying about what the others are gonna say. It's key. It's huge because, like you said, right? Even if you when you become somebody successful, you're gonna have a lot of haters, right? You're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna hate. Like
Yeah.
Ryan Sergen said, right? Try to go around for 10 years, cameras following you around. I could have said this and I could have said that, and I should have done this and I should have done that. I'm like, really? Well, how come you didn't do it? How come you're not
Yeah.
doing it?
Yeah, how
You
come
know?
you're not, how come you weren't the one called to be on this show? So it's like an armchair, or a like an armchair quarterback. We always, I played baseball, and there's always like, oh, I would have done this, or I can't believe, like, it's like, dude, it's easy to say that when you're not in the moment, dude. It is hard to play at any level. The higher you get, I didn't make it to the pros, but I played college baseball, and it's hard, dude. Like, when you think like, hey, I'm pretty good. Well, guess what? There's freaking 30 other people that are just as good, or if not better than you, on the field as well, competing against you. So yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's easy to critique from the stands, but it just comes with the territory, I guess.
It does, it does, and I think you told me this example one time. You say, "Hey, a great baseball player goes up to the plate, right,
Yeah.
and he misses 7 out of 10 times, but he hits it 3 out of 10 times, and those three makes him a great hitter."
Yep. And now he's a candidate to be in the Hall of Fame, bro. So baseball is a game where you can fail and still be considered one of the greats. You can fail more than succeed, and you are still considered one of the greats.
One of the greats, yeah, yeah. And I'll leave it with this. Grant Cardone in his 10x rule book says, I love haters. He says, I love haters because people are gonna hate without you having haters means that you're not successful. People don't know about you. He goes, if you have 20 haters, go get 10 more because that's his
Yeah.
10x rule. Right? He's like, go get 10 more. If you got 30, go get 20 more. It's like, go get more haters
Yeah.
because it just comes, like you said, with the territory,
Yeah.
right?
It's true, man.
Um,
It is what it is, though. You just gotta, one thing that, and I'm not gonna say, I can say that, from other people that I've talked to, and just like hearing other people speak, is that if you're not, yeah, if you don't have haters, you're not, if you have haters, you're doing something right. So yeah, I'm a big believer in that. So hey, to all
yeah,
those that are getting started, just jump in, man. Don't don't overthink it. There's no rule, there's no playbook, there's no rule like, okay, I got to do it this way, because the other problem is that many people, including myself, will get caught up in analysis paralysis, where we're overthinking everything. Like, we want everything to be perfect, but the reality is, just get the dang ball, just get in the damn game. Like, get in and go and learn, and you can, again, compound, do it repeatedly, where you get better and better, and you're gonna learn. Again, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fail, you're gonna get laughed at. You might even say, you know what, this ain't for me, but then you're gonna jump right back in, dude. Just take a step back, maybe, if you have to, reset and get back in. But don't overthink the process. That's the other thing I will say, is don't overthink it, because once you get stuck in that analysis paralysis, where you're thinking about every little detail and what is preventing you from moving forward or getting to social media, then you're not going to move at all. You're going to stay stagnant at the end of the day. And that's what we want to avoid, is being stagnant.
yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I love it. I love the fact that, because that's one of the things that I always talk about just go for it. I, I think I forgot who said it. He goes, "You don't know where to start. Pick up a pen and just drop it and start from right there."
There you
And
go, man. At the drop of
yeah,
a
yeah,
pin.
awesome. Well, Juan, I want to switch it up a little bit. So obviously, you and I have a lot of similarities, right? We're both in the business, and we're both fathers, husbands, and I respect that. I respect that from you a lot. Is are a perfect example when somebody was on social media, and yes, they look at your great content. They look at the great value that you're adding to the community, and but then also the other side of that, and I believe that is the backbone, right, of just being happy in life. Not necessarily if you don't want to be in a relationship, right?
Right.
But I mean, in this case, when you are in a relationship, you're married, you have children, you have kids, you have a business, you have clients that are calling you, you have other colleagues, or the other realtor on the other side of the business that's giving you a hard time. And then you go home, and the next thing you know is, "Well, I got to do that and then do this." And then for me, it has happened where I get caught up on I have done the transition on coming from work to home and not unplugging that off. And I think that's very vital when you're running a business, right? Being able to keep that. I don't want to say work-life balance. I don't really believe in that. But I'll get into that another time. But for me, it's more of just living your dream. Living your purpose.
Yeah.
And what I want to take away from you is what are some of the keys? What are some of the takeaways that we can all learn when you're a father? You have three kids, you have a wife, and you guys have beautiful family, and then you still run a business, right? Because here it's not about, I'm gonna go clock in and then somebody's gonna pay me and then I'm gonna go home and that's it, right?
Yes.
It's you got to work for it. And so having that pressure and having that responsibility of being a father, being a husband, again, business owner, what is it that you do, to be able to maintain those? And obviously it's not easy, but what will be some of the takeaways that you can share?
Yeah. Well, I will start by saying this, man, and just from my experience, I am very fortunate to have a very supporting wife. She's the person behind the curtains. Doesn't really get much on social media, but because of her, I'm able to do more. I'm able to do this podcast. She's downstairs with all three kids eating dinner, and to me, for me, I'm like, oh shoot, man, the house might be burning down, but she's basically like she's the backbone, but at the same time, she knows of our goals, our dreams. And for me as a father, I'm motivated by that because I want to give her all of that and my kids. I want them to succeed. And I do find the balance. I make sure that when I unplug, it's kid time or my kids. They are very important to me. They don't. We only have 18 summers with them, right? Like 18 summers. That's it. After that, they're gonna be off in college. They're gonna be out doing their own thing. Maybe they're not gonna come back home for college. Like, hey, I'm gonna stay out here for the summer, hang out with my girlfriend, boyfriend. I got two daughters and one son. So it's we only have 18 summers with them, so you got to make it count. And I'm involved as much as I can. And one thing that I do love about being a realtor is that I have that flexibility too, because if my son has soccer practice, I can go. If I was at my other job, I wouldn't be able to go to soccer practice. Or hey, he has a game at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, maybe I wouldn't be able to go just because one of my last jobs, I was also traveling. I would travel, to other states, and sometimes, unfortunately, if I had an event Friday, I wouldn't get back sometime till Saturday, sometime in the midday, so I could miss that. But finding the balance or being able to do both has at the beginning was a little stressful, and there are times where like I was telling my wife is I do sometimes wish I had a little bit more help in the morning just because I could concentrate a little bit more. But I've learned to like, hey, you know what? In the morning is my admin time. I can be in front of a laptop. I can, send out my emails, do my follow ups, do my text messages to clients. My wife gets, she's still working, but the goal is to, get her, she wants to be at home and I want to provide her that. And I told her, I'm like, I'm going to give you that. I know I believe in myself enough to get you to that next step. So that's again that motivation, because truthfully, she deserves it. She really does. And I want to get her to that place where she can just focus on the kids, while I can also do more of the job in the morning. And then be able to, at the end, whether if it's during summer break, I want to be able to take my kids to an extravagant vacation, all of us, not just, hey, me and the wife are going, like all of us. And obviously traveling with a family of five now is not cheap and it's not easy. So I want to be able
Yeah.
to just say, hey, you know what, let's go to Disney World like you did, man. Like I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to, hey, you know what, let's go to Europe. So, oh, it's just you and your wife. No, it's gonna be all of us. All of us are gonna do it. So being able to
Yeah.
find the balance, or you know first you got to obviously create your schedule. You got time block. You got to figure out, okay, what's going to be my mornings. Like I said, the admin stuff in the morning. Wife gets home, we'll have lunch together, and then after that I'm back on it, dude. Like I'm doing my dials, calling, circle prospecting, just making my rounds, and drumming up more business. Working my social media as well. What I'll do, luckily, is like in the morning, if the kids are playing with their toys, or they're after I drop off my son, my two daughters are much easier because they're a little bit younger, so I can do a social media post, or I can go ahead and do my recording, I should say. I can record a social media reel, something that is informative to my audience, and I'll edit it. Sometimes that's if I have time, or I'll edit it later in the evening when my wife's home, and boom, I'm able to balance it, man. It's been a lot of fun. It's not easy sometimes, but as I mentioned, I do love the fact that I get that flexibility of, you know what, I got to go to my son's soccer practice, right? He has a game Saturday. My wife, unfortunately, she works sometimes on Saturdays, so it's like she's not going to be able to make to a soccer game, and I'm like, dang, like, that's tough. And she wants to, it breaks her heart that she'll miss them. For me, like I said, it's I have that benefit right now. It's like if I got to go, I can go. So either way, like I said, it's just it's really sitting down and time blocking and putting your priorities in order. And if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. I'm a big believer in that.
Man, I got to take away so much from you right now because that's the reason why I wanted to just have this conversation with you because the things that I got from you right now, it's obviously having the support, and I do believe in that because I also have my wife who is very very supportive of myself in being in the business, not just for herself or myself, but just everybody, because like you said, it's everybody. It's not just me and her, it's everybody else that comes after us. And so having that support from your spouse, it's very very big. It's huge. And then you have that, which I love. And I love the fact, man, when you were saying this, it just really touched me. You say, hey, you have your kids, but you're only gonna have them for 18 summers. You're gonna have them for 18 summers before they decide, to start doing, whatever they want to do. There's really, I don't want to say control, but there's really, it's not the same, being 18 years old and 5 years old.
Right.
5 years old, you can still connect with them at a deeper level, at an emotional level. They imagining things, they want to, daddy, play with me. Try that with it when they're 18 years old and you didn't have that.
Yeah.
When they were younger, then that's when the regret comes in.
Yep.
And so I love that. And also I also have my son, my 10-year-old son, in practice one. I have him as well in practice. And I get caught up in the business, so much that when it's time for practice, you said something right now that was like, super key. So you gave me a lot of value right now. Hey, I have the flexibility, because of this business, because of the support that my wife is giving me. The I have the ability to be able to take my son, okay, to practices. Yes, it sucks that sometimes my wife doesn't get to come on Saturdays to see him play, but you're after a goal of one, and that is, to provide your family financial freedom, that independence where both of you are living the American dream.
Yep.
You have a beautiful family. It's enterprise, right? You have
Yeah.
your own family. You have your home. You're able to provide a service for a community, not just any service. You're giving them value, but at the same time, you're leading by example by being a father, a husband, a business owner, contributor to your community, which is really, if you have all of those qualities, I mean, there's no reason why you are not going to succeed in this country. It's not a matter if, it's just a matter of when. And I go back to the compound, like you said at the beginning. It's just a matter before that recipe it starts exploding down the line.
It's being resilient, dude. Not again, not fall, not giving up. At the end of the day, it's like it's the championship rounds in boxing. Like you're after a good battle. It's like I guess with prospecting, right? Like you're getting told no, hung up on. Some people they're easy to quit. We're just talking about that. How people want instant gratification. Like, hello, yes, hi, this is one local realtor, and say, oh, hey, I was actually coincidentally, I'm looking for somebody to list my house. Like, it's not that easy. A lot of times, it's like, well, you're interrupting their day, right? Like, I'm
Yeah,
interrupting their day, and I'm obviously soliciting, some business from them.
yeah.
But, again, it's maybe not them, but on to the next call. Just you have that conversation. Can I bring you value? And if they say no, I plan to die here. Well, hey, you know what? Make sure. Let me give you my information in case if you need, like, your kids need to contact me to sell your house when you do die, or you got like have fun with, hey, is that going to be anytime soon? You know what I'm saying? But like, it's just moving on to the next person. Like, in prospecting, it really is it's just being resilient, not being afraid of what the other person is going to say. And the truth is that you're not going to be able to help everyone, but you're going to be able to help one person, and that one person is going to could potentially even multiply to other people, because now I could be, if I do a good enough job, I'm now in their inner circle, and they are going to become what we call raving fans. Now they start
Mm.
talking about you. Hey, my realtor, or hey, oh, you should reach out to my realtor. I've fortunately, I just had another old client of mine send me another referral. So I'm just like, dude, like that's awesome. To me, if I'm doing my job right, that's the biggest compliment to me. It's like they're sending me referrals. If they send them to me, it's because I'm doing something right. I made them feel a certain way. I provided them with a certain value or certain service that made them feel comfortable, and they want to also share that with their peers, their family, and they want to. At the end of the day, they were like, "Hey, you know what? I know you're going to be in good hands if you reach out to my realtor Juan." So to me, that's the goal, man. It's just being resilient and continuing to move forward. And like I said, it's a boxing match, dude, with the prospecting. A lot of them is just jab jab. A lot of them are probably gonna be beating your butt, like beating you up all fight, right? And then you might get that the 11th round, you might get that one person. I'm not necessarily knocking them out, but hey, you know what? That phone call I knocked that one out because you know what, this person said, hey, you know what? I'm actually thinking about moving out of the state, and I would like to know what the value of my home is. And at that point, that's where we can have that conversation. We can set up an appointment, and knocking on wood, it goes well. We connect, and then we can obviously have some business going.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I think that it's like you said, right? It's being of service, providing value for them, and you touch something, which is the being a raving fan, and again, once that client sees the value that you have to provide for them, it's again, it's just a matter of time before they connected with their loved ones. But I love it, Juan. Thank you for that. So as we wrap it up, I want to touch on one last thing, Juan. So, and I just really thought about this, before we hopped on, and so there's a lot of so for one, right? I just want to say this really quick. So for one, we live in a nation, right, where there's I forgot the number, but I believe it's about 70%, if I'm not mistaken, 70% of families in the United States, they're fatherless. They're either being raised by a single mom or
Hmm.
never met their father. I can't really remember. The number is huge. It's
Yeah,
it's really, really big.
it's
And
sad.
so for me, I believe that that plays a big part on just the way we're being raised, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, what I wanted to ask you is, And I'm gonna play this video really quick right now. But I came across this topic, right? Just we grow up sometimes, being resentful of our fathers or our, mom or dad, and we tend to forget that we play a role as well with our kids. So the way we raise them, right? The way we raise them, the values that we implement in them, and ultimately who they become, it's really, really a reflection, right, of the examples that we set for ourselves at home. And a lot of the times, again, I remember I grew up and there were some things that I didn't really like about my mom, how she raised me at times, and how you know she might have treated me. But but then I think about that, if I didn't have to go through that, right? At the moment I hated it. But if I didn't have to go through that, it wouldn't have teach me the values, knowing the fact, like we just been talking about, that not everything in life is going to be easy, and you're going to have to earn it, you're going to have to work for it, and there's a level of value that you have to provide for your community. But we grew up, with that resentment. So I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts on that, and what do you think about, a young man, maybe early 18s, 20, 22 years old, like the 18-year-old version of us, right? The 20-year-old version of us. What will be the one thing that, because again, you have a beautiful family and you're there, and obviously we're fathers now. What will be the one thing, that one message for that individual who's probably stuck at that moment right now, saying, what, my dad, my mom, what would
Yeah,
be
man. It's really just not. I know it's hard, and I didn't grow up with a father in my life, per se, right? Like my dad was in Mexico. My mom was she took on both roles. I was fortunate. I am fortunate enough, even to this day. Like my brother, he is 12 years older than me. I have a sister that's 9 years older than me, and my brother, for time growing up, during those wonder years, I guess you can say, was really like my father figure there. But eventually, he had his own family. He had kind of like what I'm doing now. He has his own family. He has his own kids, and I kind of hit that stage where, yeah, I know you need a father figure, man. It like that is huge, and that's one thing that I told myself is like, I'm gonna be there for my kids all the time. And again, my mom did a phenomenal job, the best she could. Sometimes we did butt heads, like you're saying. There's some things I didn't agree with, but at the time I was young, dude. I was young and dumb. I can say that. And I know that she was doing the best. She did everything to provide, what I needed in order to be successful to the best of her ability, whether if it was working multiple jobs. And when my grandmother passed away when I was 12 years old, that's where really she was kind of like on her own. And I will say that I admire my mom, that she never gave up. She was by herself. She was able to buy her condo. Now it's 30 years, 29 years later, it's paid off. So it's like, I look at that too, and I'm like, wow, that was pretty awesome. Now, the message that I guess I would leave to kids or someone that's like 18 years old is, we don't, unfortunately, we all start at a different point in life. Some of us start here, some of us start there, some of us start here, some of us are way up top, right? But at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control and how we move forward. The moment we start taking accountability and stop saying, oh man, I grew up with this, or oh, I didn't have that. That's really, like you said, negative thoughts. The more negativity you have around you, it's going to shackle you and hold you down. I believe that once the moment you start, just say, what, I got a plan, I got to get out of this, break out of the cycle, then that's really where you take your own accountability. You start, now we live in a world where, shoot, man, we can learn a lot from this freaking phone right here, dude. Like there's so much information, there's so much value out there that we can turn our lives away. We can really change the generation of our family. Like I said,
Yeah.
like we were talking about earlier, is that I want to leave this for my kids. Like that's my goal now. It's not my life. It's still my, obviously I'm not, I still want to live my life, but my life is my family. Like I want to leave them, I want to leave them success. Like I want to leave them a blueprint. Like, hey, this is what I did. if you choose to follow this, then this is the way this is what made me successful. I have bumped my head. I have done all the hard work. I've done all the failures ahead of time. I'm going to give you advice on what did not work for me, and then you can choose which way to go. So like I've, gone through the gauntlet already. I want to provide them that roadmap, that easier path of resistance. And obviously they're going to go through it too. And I want them to explore. I don't, I'm not going to say I want them to become, I need you to become a realtor. Like I would love for them, because again, I can see the value and the success, the roadmap. But at the end of the day, whatever it is, just do it and do it well, right? Like give it your all. If you're gonna be a freaking go become a I don't know, a psychologist, give it your all. If you're gonna, hey, you know
Yeah.
what, you're gonna go freaking rent cars, give it your all. Like you can still move up in that corporate ladder. But the message that I have for those kids is just, regardless of where you start, doesn't necessarily mean that's where you're going to end or you're going to be in the next 5 years. Look at Grant Cardone. I know I keep referencing him, but he didn't grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth either, right? So there's a lot of success stories where people grew up in, worse situations than me, and I didn't grow up in a bad environment. I was in a single mom home, but my mom loved me. I was surrounded by people that loved me as well. And I'm not saying that I'm like at the pinnacle of success either, but I'm moving towards that, where I'm like, hey, you know what, I can get better. And there are some people that came from a much worse position, like with their parents, both their parents died, or hey, you know what, they were given up for adoption for whatever reason, and then they ended up going through like whatever emotional stages that they were going processing and going through. But then, hey, you know what, they either choose to veer left or veer right. Which way do I want to go? And I can go down the victim route, or I can go down, you know what, F it, like I have nothing to lose. And I believe that the moment you start taking accountability, that's really where you're going to start hitting your strides. And just being resilient at the end of the day, it's something that
Yeah.
I truly believe is that we just got to continue be resilient and learn how to take accountability for our mistakes. There's nothing wrong with failing either. There's nothing wrong with it. If you fail, it might be a minor pause, but guess what, unpause the game and continue on. It's like a video. It's like playing Mario Brothers, right? You get like
Yeah.
5 lives. It's like, all right, you died, damn, all right, well, I guess what, I got another life.
Right
And
again.
that's the thing, like you're talking about, we live in a country where you can fail and fail and fail, and you can still end up at the top, or you can still end up at your dreams. So, you know, other countries unfortunately don't have this ability. Like there's people that you can't, it's hard. It's 10 times harder. You talk about, 10xing over there, it's 10x harder to get to where we're like, even where we're at, right? Like it's like in other places, we're like, wow, I wish I had that life right there. It's like we live in a country where the reality is that we can be whatever we want. And you know i i I love that about living here. And I see it again from like my mom. Again, I hate, I'm not trying to do, but I have a lot of respect for her, because again, she
Yeah.
was a single mom. She came from another country, did not know the language, and she became a homeowner, and now she's shoot, man, she's vacationing all the time, which I'm proud of. I'm like, good for you, mom. Like you did your time, you worked your butt off for years. And I look back and I tell my wife, I'm like, man, I was very lucky. I didn't really appreciate like the amount of time and effort that she put in order for me to buy my cleats, in order for me to buy my bat. It's like, to me, I didn't know about buying stuff. Like I was like,
Yeah.
hey, it's kind of like spoiled, right? Like I had no idea about that. Helping me buy my car. Shoot, even as I got older, like when my wife and I met, we were like, hey, we want to start saving up some money. My mom rented us her condo while she went to go live with my sister, because I'm like, dude, we need to like that's what I mean. Like my mom has always been that person. That's what I'm like, damn, I saw this on Million Dollar Listing. I think when we talked, I'm like, hey, what are you doing watching Million Dollar Listing? What do realtors do on their day off, right? Or their free time? I watch Million Dollar, watch more real estate. But one thing that I was like, man, I wish I want to do that for my mom one day. I really do. These guys
Yeah.
bought, the Altman brothers, they bought their mom a home. And I'm not talking like a $400,000 or $500,000 home, like a modest home. I'm talking a 5 point something $1 million home, dude. And I was like, oh my gosh. And guess what? It's not even their primary residence, dude. That's the crazy part. Is whenever they
Wow.
come home, say, hey, you're in California. Guess what? We got you this nice fat pad here in LA in the hills, dude. So I'm like, wow. And that right there was kind of like my moment as well. Like, it's like I want to do that for my mom one day. Like, whether if even if she's like in her 70s, and I'm like, Mom, guess what? I bought you this house that I know you've always wanted. Like, I want to do that one day for her.
Yeah.
So
I, I love the fact that that you have a goal in mind, right? There's something that you're shooting for, because a lot of the times we go after something in life, but we really don't know what we're going after. It's just almost like we go, and there's no target. And one of the metaphors that I use for my family is let's just shoot up at a bullseye. But if you don't know where you're going, it's you might as well put some blindfolds on your eyes and just go for it. But I really like the fact that now your mom is she gets to live the American dream, and she sacrificed so much for you guys, and also failing forward, right? I never saw it like that, like you did right now. It's like Mario Brothers, right? Hey, you die again, you keep going, right? You don't say like, oh, I suck at this game, and then you give it up, right? Maybe
right,
you do, but I mean, most of us don't, because it's just part of it just became part of us, right? And
yeah,
so that
and it's
was a
okay to
great
fail
great
there.
it was a great example. And and you said it well as well. You said your situation, right? It's whatever situation you're going through, whatever situation you think it's bad, it's horrible, is no, but you don't understand what happened. I heard this individual says, really, okay, put your problem, take it out, and put it on the pot with everyone else's problems, okay,
Yeah,
and see how big your problem is. And your situation right now, and it's easy for me to say this, right? You might be thinking like, yeah, well, lucky you get to say this, but I really mean it, because I'm really present to that now. That our situation, whatever we're going through, is it's a win for someone else in this in the world. Somewhere else in the world, if they were in our situation, they'll be probably the happiest place, because I mean the happiest person, because their situation is a lot worse than
yeah,
we currently have it right now. But it's kind of hard to see it, when we live it on a day-to-day basis, which is why I wanted you to share that, because again, this is what we do here, and we just share value back and forth, some of the things that um scenarios in life that you see them in a different way. You gave me a lot of great pointers right now that I never thought about, and I'm like, wow, I didn't see it like that. But I'm gonna play this quick 2-minute video, Juan, so that you can see
yeah,
it's Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you know who he is, but he wrote the book, The 12 Rules of Life. 12 Rules
yeah,
of Life. And we see him on Instagram all the time. He's always talking about kids and being a father and whatnot. So in this video, he touches just getting over the resentment of a father. Being over. And again, I know I keep saying a father, but that's because me and Juan are here. But it's really anything else. It could be a mother. But I just came across this video that I want to share with you all, and I want to get your thoughts, Juan, after the video, so that we can wrap it up. So here it goes.
Now, Richard also asked, how can I talk
Oh, I
about the
don't think
resentments of my childhood in a
I got
way
the
that
audio right.
benefits them
I
instead
can
of
hear
giving them guilt? See, what I would ask,
it.
Let me.
if you came to talk to me and you had that question, I would say, first of all, well, what resentments? List them out, man. Write them down. Okay. So that you know what they are. Because each of those resentments is going to be a different thing. And the strategy that's associated with each might vary as a consequence of the particularity of the resentment. So I would say you should start by writing them down. Like, what's your problem exactly? Here's all the things that I can think of that I'm angry about with regard to my childhood. Write that down. And then see which ones are still living. And then you have to figure out, well, what do you want from your parents exactly? Do you want them to apologize? Do you want them to understand what they did wrong? Do you want to punish them? Do you want to let them learn to know you better? Do you want to change the way they're interacting with you now? Do you want to learn your own lessons from your bad experience so that when you're a parent, you don't make the same mistake? Do you merely want to have a chance to express yourself? Like, what are the resentments? So we can walk through the process we already described. Lay them out. And comprehensively, you might want to make a list of everything that you think you might conceivably be annoyed about with regards to your parents, no matter how trivial, right? Because that way you scour your memory for things that you're holding onto in a bitter way. And maybe you have your justification. I'm not suggesting that you don't, but you need to discover what baggage you're carrying. Then you have to figure out, well, what can I let go of? And what's core? And I would say what's really core is if there are ways that your parents treated you that are still affecting you or that are affecting your relationships with them now, those really need to be dealt with because they're not done. They're not in the past, right? They're not even resentments of your childhood. They're still part of your ongoing life. Okay, so now you have all your resentments laid out. I guess I would say, something like, look, Mom and Dad, there's something I need to talk to you about that's been bothering me for a long time. And I'd pick one of the more trivial things to begin with. Like, here's a memory I have, and don't get all high and mighty about it because, you might have misconstrued the situation as a child. It's highly probable, and they may have had their reasons, and you may not even remember the situation, let's say, correctly, or the way they remember it. You say, well, here's something that happened when I was a kid, and it still bothers me. And do you remember what happened? That's an open-ended question. Do you remember what happened? Why did this go this way? And then I would do an awful lot of listening, because you are trying to gather information. And the more your parents can tell you about what happened in those situations, I would say the better off you're likely to be.
So what I got from that one is, and I want to let you have the last word, but it's actually for me is a lot of the times, we go through a situation, right, without really knowing why we really went through it, especially when we're a child, when we're kids. Our mind, it's not we're not able to reason like you and I are at this stage in our lives. So when we're 9, 10 years old, we do have the memory, but we just really don't understand why. And we grow up thinking that, oh, okay, so that telling a story to ourselves, right? Okay, so that's what it was. That's why they did that. And we live with that, perhaps maybe resentment. And it doesn't have to be bad all the time, okay? I just want to make that clear. But I wanted to bring this subject because again, we tell ourselves stories that we get caught up in those, and then therefore we carry it with us, like Jordan Peterson says, right? It's not in the past, but yes, it did happen, and I can forget about it. But if I'm resentful, some people can forget, like, whatever, it happened. I was a kid. You were my mom and dad. How can I be mad? But not everybody's like that.
Right.
So if you are at that stage, is it's almost, again, you operate in any level the same in life. It could be a coworker or a manager. Well, that person did this, or that guy did this, or it's them, it's them, and then I'm me. But I brought up this subject because you can apply it to anything in life, but I wanted to make it about just being in a relationship and being a father, with in the spirit that I have you here. And that's just what I got. It's just laying it out like, mom and dad, this is bothering me, and realizing that it's in the past, but just, yeah, I just want to know what happened. And like he said, right, it might be a situation that you probably don't even remember, or you don't understand why it really happened. And that is seeking to understand. And it doesn't have to be a parent. It could be anything in life. And that's really what I really want to focus on, that, it's anything, it's any area of our lives. But in this case, it's obviously, raising with that resentment with your fathers. But anyways, one, I'll let you have the last word, your thoughts, and what did you think about today's interview?
Oh, the interview. Oh, I was gonna say, like, that video, like, kind of reminded me of my brother, man. My brother.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your
Oh,
takeaways
yeah,
from that, and then
yeah,
after that,
yeah.
yeah. What?
No, because it's one thing that my brother, man. I try to tell him, like, dude, my mom. Again, we didn't grow up with a father. He did a little bit. Our dad was in my sister and his life for a few years before I was kind of like, hey, oh shoot, I'm out. So I had zero, like, I didn't know my dad growing up. I know who he is. I've met him, but anyways, like, one thing that it's funny about the human brain is that we are so great at remembering traumatized or bad events that we forget all the good, like we forget all the great things that happened that our mom did for us. And one thing that we have talked, and it's like, oh, Juan, you don't understand. It's like, you know what, dude, you're right, I don't understand because I wasn't there, and I don't know what it's like to be the first child. My mom being a young mom, at the time, and there's no manual on how to raise a kid, and obviously she was in, they were born in Mexico, and obviously they did that, coming across, and that's also a traumatic experience on its own. So like I can't really relate to that, but a lot of the resentment, from my brother just having these conversations. It's like, oh, you know what, like my mom, she wasn't there for me. I'm like, dude, my mom, she was there, and even if she didn't, dude, like here's the thing, is like my mom got better and better as each child went,
Yeah.
and then she's an amazing, and I mean amazing grandmother to all of her grandkids, like my brother's nephew, my brother's sons, an amazing grandmother to them, to my nieces, to my kids, and just like, you know what, maybe we all fail, dude, we all fail, but again, like this whole encompassing all of this, or encapsulating everything, is that you learn from it, like what could I have done better, right? What could I have done better? And my mom realized that like I could have done this better, and now she's putting into action her thoughts with her grandkids. And shoot, man, she loves those dang grandkids. Like there's a joke, obviously, like we see it all the time on social media, or maybe you do, maybe you don't. It's like, damn, I'm like, really? Like, oh, okay, like they can have chocolate, but oh shoot, I even dare to ask. I got a freaking backhand, or I got a remote. Like, what'd you say? Or like, they get a lot away with a lot of stuff, and that's just parents. You learn as you go, day by day, and situation by situation. And I tried something like my brother. I'm sure they've already worked it out, but I feel that my brother's still hanging on to whatever resentment it is, and I'm just like, yo, man, like hey, my mom's retired already, bro. Like she doesn't have time. She can't. The past is the past. You can't go back. It's like we can only we can only control what we can control now. And you know what? My mom has done an amazing job with the grandkids. Like, hey, you know what? And she's asked for her forgiveness, and my brother has, but sometimes I feel that it's not all the way out yet. But like I said, it's just for me, it's funny because you remember the bad things, but we forget about all the great things that happened in between, right? Those are easy to forget about. But the little, oh, you did this, or oh, I remember you changed the plan here. It's like, whoa. It's like, dude, it's not a big deal. It's like, oh, but to me, I'm like, oh boy, like it's like,
Yeah.
like there was a lot of good as well, man. Like, hey, it's kind of like the tax laws, right? It's like just like you got this much tax advantage and like this little much like against you, right? So it's like people for like, oh, but people don't want to get caught up in the bad, right? So they focus on the negatives. Like it's like the crash, right? Like we always like, oh, you read the headlines and you panic. People are like people fear feed into our fears. So, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's laying it out. Once you discuss it, you discuss it. You can't change the past, but you can learn from it. You can always like your past is the greatest teacher in the experience. You learn from the experience, and what could I have done better, and let me implement it moving forward. Because again, if you're doing the same thing, it's the definition of insanity, right? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Result.
So it's I've kind of, I know it's about fathers, but I've kind of, my mom was basically that person. She was like my father figure, and it's someone that I admired and obviously love tremendously.
Yeah.
So but yeah, dude, like it's funny, like the whole baggage thing. I mean, I'm like, oh, my brother, dude. Like, dude,
Hey,
that's
well, it's by no accident though that that we came here today, and then I came across the video and I shared it with you. But I'll leave it with this. Great things that you said. That we get better as we go. We learn as we go, and we can control what we control. We can control what we can control, and also you remember the bad, but you tend to forget the great, right? That happens in between, and I think that is really what it's missing, and that's why I wanted to have you today, Juan, because we need more leaders like yourself, right? I believe that the world needs to hear more stories, like you and great individuals that have that responsibility. And it's not that I'm scared, it's not that I lived a great life, but it's just that I chose to not live in the past and create my own future, which is,
Right.
what I really admire about you, Juan. And I just want to thank you, for giving me the time. And I hope that we can make it again.
Yeah. Dude, I would love to, man. Thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it. I'm honored, as I mentioned. It was fun. I would love to do it again. Maybe we can dive a little bit deeper.
Absolutely.
Hey, and we've this is these podcasts, as we were talking about, like, I don't do them as often as I want to, but it does it. You kind of motivated me, or just like you encouraged me. Like, you know what? I just need to do it, man, and also take a chapter out of my own advice from earlier on. It's like, you just got to do it, man. Just,
Yeah.
if you suck, you suck, but you're not going to suck forever. As long as you improve like a little bit every day, you'll be all right at the end of the season. You'll be a 300 hitter, right?
300 hitter.
300
Yeah,
hitters,
there you
man.
go.
That's all you need,
And,
man. Be considered one of the greats. So again,
and that.
it's been an honor, man. It was been fun.
No, thank you, and that's all it is. Just getting to the home plate, and just taking a swing, taking a swing, taking a swing.
Hey,
But
man.
with that being said, thank you, Juan, and thank you everybody again. Again, the name of our channel is Through Failure and Success, where we come to you twice a week now. Okay, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. But until then, we'll see you in the next one, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.